Hey guys, it's me, Sam Stein, managing editor at the Bulwark, and I am joined by my buddy Tim Miller as we are going to dissect truly a remarkable bleat. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, bleat, yeah.
A bleat from Donald Trump this morning on immigration. It is, I've gotten a number of texts about it from Republicans, like just, scratching their heads, wondering what the hell's going on. I will read it. No, I'm serious.
Really?
I will read it.
What are they confused about?
He's all over the map. These are non-Trumpy Republicans. These are Republicans who are like, I cannot believe this man. Yeah. That's the reaction. All right, here's the bleat.
You're 10.
That's true at this point. All right, we'll get to that in a sec. Here's the bleat. Our great farmers, capital F for some reason, and people in the hotel, capital H, and leisure, capital L, business have been stating that our very aggressive policy on immigration is taking very good longtime workers away from them, with those jobs being almost impossible to replace. In many cases, the criminals, capital C, I don't know why he capitalizes this stuff, allowed into our country by the very stupid Biden open borders policy.
Wait, let's
are
pause
applying
there.
for those. Okay, fine.
I'm sorry. Let's pause there. So they applied for the jobs. Finish the sentence. The criminals applied for the jobs. So I just try to understand.
I had trouble unpacking that part.
Yeah,
too,
because they allied this point into when it's convenient. Is anyone that came into the country illegally a criminal? Or when he's talking about criminals, is he just talking about people that came here illegally but then committed crimes?
Yes, so they strategically conflate this.
Yeah.
When it's opportunistic, everyone who came here illegally is a criminal.
Right.
But in this case, the criminals are a different category that only Biden let in.
Yeah, not the caddies or whatever, not the people cleaning the toilets at Mar-a-Lago, not the people doing the well-done steaks at Bedminster, not
picking the strawberries
not the
or whatever.
cleaning ladies. Yeah. At Doral, they're not criminals, right? They're just longtime valued members of the Trump team,
who were vetted very carefully by the Trump organization. Yeah, okay. Obviously.
All right, let's continue.
Is there more to say? I will finish it. Hold on 1 second. By the very stupid Biden open borders policy, are applying for those jobs. This is not good. Which part is not good? I'm not totally sure. We must protect our farmers, but get the criminals out of the USA. Changes are coming. All right. So here we are. He clearly has heard from some, farming conglomerates or, hotel buddies of his who are like, yo, we need these workers. You're disrupting our business. Please stop it. This is a problem of his own creation. Never once does he obviously recognize that, but it is a problem of his own creation. And really, this goes diametrically against what Stein and Miller has been pushing, which is that anyone who crossed over the border illegally should be gone. No ifs, ands, or buts. And so, never thought Trump was a guy.
So, needless to say, you could stop this by just stopping.
Yes, that could be the change.
That could be the change. You could just stop deporting people that are longtime residents, that are working, that are valued members. Like this whole notion, it's like we're deporting, like basically the frame that he's put out there, if you just take the lead at face value, is that he's gotten some feedback from his rich farmer and hotelier buddies. Do you say hotelier or hotelier?
I say hotelier.
Okay. He's got some rich hoteliers have gone to Donald Trump and said, we have a problem. Nobody is there to clean the fancy rooms of the people at your hotels anymore because you're deporting them. All right. And so Donald got that feedback when he put this out. And it's like, here's the problem, guys. Because of the very tough immigration enforcement we have, these people that have been working in the hotel industry are being deported, and they're being replaced not by Americans, but by criminals, by criminal aliens that Joe Biden let in. Like, I'm just saying, if you take what he said,
I'm trying to figure that out. How is
that they're being replaced then by these new criminal aliens with the cantaloupe thighs that Joe Biden brought in?
Is his brain broken? Does that make any sense?
No, it doesn't, and that's bad because we don't want these criminals in the hotel suites at Doral. We want the longtime good immigrants that my people have been deporting. So if you just take them at face value, easy fix. You don't need to send a bleat. You can just send out an announcement. We're going to stop deporting these people. that then creates a problem with Stephen Miller and with the base and with the quotas that they have to do. And I think probably what ends up happening is that they just try to not have raids at hotels and farms or in red states. That becomes hard, especially when you consider. I want to pull up a separate post here from the Homeland Security Department, DHS, which is under the president. That's right.
DHS?
Yeah, that's under the president of the United States. He has some.
Yes.
He has purview over that. Okay.
Sure.
Well, they posted this around the same time. Help your country locate and arrest illegal aliens. To report criminal activity, call 866-DHS to ICE. And then there's a picture of like this kind of racist cartoon about reporting all foreign invaders. I guess that racist image was originally posted from a Christian nationalist. They stole it. They don't have a. I guess they don't have an art department anymore at DHS because of Doge, and so they stole a racist meme, and they posted that. So there are a few problems here. I mean, not that I would want to cause anybody any harm or that I'm suggesting this, but I mean, maybe some people should call the hotline about the people working at Donald Trump's hotels and the people working at the farms where all these great farmers are, these MAGA farmers who are upset that they're losing their folks. You see how you hit an issue here. You hit a crossroads where you can either do one thing or another. You can have a hotline where Americans are calling on their neighbors and calling on ICE and asking for them to be shackled and deported. You can live in a country where you do that. Or you can live in a country where, no, you just look for criminals and deport, as we've always done. You just deport people who have deportation orders. And Trump is trying to have it both ways, at least in the context of his buddies, I guess.
I don't know if he's trying to have it both ways so much as ping-ponging back and forth, right? Like if you take his bleat from this morning and just logically extend it, what he's saying is, hey, let's have a system in place in which we go after real hardened criminals and those people who are here illegally but are working in certain sectors where it's beneficial for us economically to have them work. Let's give them some workplace protections. Let's have them be here with some sort of comfort that they won't be deported so that they and their employees or employers can go about their business and do it effectively. That's called comprehensive immigration reform, or a version of it, right? Like that's something that, Stephen
John Boehner could have been for that.
Yeah. Stephen Miller would have like a fucking heart attack if anyone else proposed that. But as obviously his boss is proposing now, we're not going to hear shit from Stephen Miller. And look, I think I obviously in this case, I think obvious, but most likely in this case, really wealthy people got to Donald Trump and said, yo, we need this to stop. But, I've been seeing all these local news stories, and I'm sure you have too, of people whose businesses, Trumpers, whose businesses have been disrupted. And we'll play the video because I'm going to find it. But there's this guy down in Key West. Have you seen this one?
No, I've got a different one I want to talk about, but go ahead.
Okay. There's this guy in Key West, and this has been making the rounds. He's got a construction business in Key West. 6 of his employees were rounded up.
Well, that's a shame. Maybe he should be arrested.
He's a Trumper. He's a Trumper. He voted for Trump. They asked him about it.
Can I get his name? I might want to call the ICE number on him because it seems like he's been harboring illegal immigrants.
Apparently, this is now. I want to be clear about this. I'm not sure. There's some contention about whether they were here seeking asylum, going through the legal channels, or not. Either way, they were rounded up and deported, or are in the process of getting deported. And he's on there. He's like, "Well, I voted for Trump, but I just didn't expect this."
You voted for Donald Trump?
Yes, I did.
6 Nicaraguan men on May 27th were detained along US 1 in Sugarloaf Key on their way to a job. Vincent Scardina is the owner of the roofing company where they worked. Given his support for the president, we asked what he would tell the commander-in-chief.
What happened here? This situation is just blatantly not at all what they said it was.
That's happening all over the country, right? Like that's happening all over the country. And you're seeing this at first I was skeptical about these polling numbers on immigration. I really was. I was like, nah, they're not dipping.
Skeptical.
Okay, fine. I still am skeptical a bit, but we've now had a couple polls in a row where the numbers are not great. They're dipping. And again, it's all in the presentation of the question. And, some people clearly are supportive of these deportation raids. But I think something's happening here where it's percolating. And Trump's got a little bit of hesitation politically now that he's bleat underscores. So, you know,
There was a story. So there's a
it.
story just on this point circling around Louisiana. I've been getting a lot of texts because Trump's biggest supporter here is a guy that they call Boise. He owns Bollinger. I'm blanking on his real first name, Boise Bollinger. Okay. I forget what his name, what his God-given name is, but his nickname is Boise Bollinger. And Trump's biggest supporter had a fundraiser for him, the whole thing. And his company there was a raid, and three people, and 3 people got. And so I was kind of like, what is happening? So some text going around that's like, was this, kind of like a, we're going to take a dive on a couple people to get these guys off our back, is there a backroom deal happening, or is the U.S. attorney down here just out of control, just going after immigrants and doesn't give a fuck if they're MAGA people or not, or I don't know, what exactly is happening? I haven't got a good answer on that, and we haven't quite figured it out. But it so to your point, I guess it's.
Did Boise say anything?
I haven't seen him on the record yet. No.
Okay.
So it just drew interest because of the company that had happened to that, right? And so people are like, maybe he knew, you know what I mean? Who knows, right? It could be a situation where there's a heads up, but I don't know. You start to see this in a number of other places, and I think that obviously, I just want to be consistent. What I've been talking about on other podcasts, they are obviously targeting blue areas, right? They're obviously targeting LA. They went after Martha's Vineyard, Chicago. They're intentionally targeting blue areas, but. Our economy is very integrated, right? And it's impossible to just target blue areas and blue companies. There are MAGA people that have businesses in blue areas, and also if you empower all these different U.S. attorneys and you tell them you got to go out and get as many fucking deportations as possible to appease Stein Miller, well, the guys that got appointed in the red areas. They have their own political interests, right? They don't want to be seen as the people that aren't doing any enforcement, they might want to run for something in their future life if you're a, prosecutor, right, in one of these red states. So even if the intent is to focus on blue states and blue areas, like in practice, that doesn't really work. Once the cat's out of the bag on all this, you see the kind of splash back
100%. And I don't think this is what compelled Trump to issue his bleat, but I do think there's a different conversation happening online than in the real world. Shock, I know. Yeah. But if you look online at any of the MAGA accounts, when they post about soccer mom in Missouri who was here illegally for 20 years is deported and people are freaking out in the community, most of the MAGA responses are, let me get my little violin.
Yeah,
Poor
this is
baby.
what I voted for.
This is what I voted for. Yeah. And so, that might compel local officials to be like, I guess I got to ramp up the deportations. But I do think there's a different type of conversation happening offline. And enough of these instances are taking place where either top business leaders, hoteliers, or whatever we're going to call them, agriculture tycoons, things like that. And then frankly, the local construction guy in Key West are just like, you know what, this is too much. And at some point that percolates enough that Trump gets wind of it and you get bleats like this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I just want to reiterate for our viewers and listeners, I mean, up to you. Obviously, I certainly don't want to do anything that helps ICE or DHS. I think they should. I don't appreciate what they're doing. But if you do happen to have a tip of a MAGA business owner that you think might be afoul of the law, I do just want to let you know that the DHS has given a number 866 DHS to ICE that they want you to call. And so if you know anybody that fits that bill, might be something to think about.
Public service there, Tim. Thank you.
Yeah, it's important to do a PSA from time to time on the Bulwark podcast. Don't endorse the actions of DHS or ICE, but it's important to kind of know that option is out there for people that want to avail themselves of it. Sam, anything else?
Nothing to add on that. On that note, as Tim snitches or encourages snitching,
did I encourage?
No,
snitching?
he didn't.
I didn't.
No. He just informed you that there was a hotline there. All right. Folks, thanks for tuning in as our ICE's sub-agent, Tim Miller, advises you of their hotline. And as we bring you the latest on Trump's bleats, subscribe to the feed and we will cover all of this, the wide spectrum. Take care.
Hey, YouTube fam. If you want to support the Bulwark, the best way to do it is by becoming a YouTube Bulwark Plus member. The Bulwark is truly independent. We have no corporate overlords. We're not settling any dumb lawsuits with Trump. By joining, you help support our work and you can get a bunch of perks right here on this platform. ad-free content, bonus videos, live streams, and some emojis of me, which I guess some people want. So come join, come hang out, become a Bulwark YouTube Plus member, and I'll be seeing you in the comments. So behave.